Good morning. Well, another episode of Afghan. I have questions and I have answers. Something we get asked about a lot here at my sewing room is how hard is that village piece or the freestanding applique or the freestanding lace ornaments, all of those things. Well, in my opinion, it's one of the easiest, most impressive things that you might create. So, I am building this year's OESD freestanding village piece. Not launched till later this fall for the customers, but as dealers, we get our designs a little bit earlier, which I really appreciate because then I have samples ready to put out when product's available to sell. And it just makes it a little easier around the shop rather than us having to make it in the first day of the launch. We may or may not be available to do that. So what I have here is a full hoop of embroidery, and I have another one here I'll show you. So I like to do full hoops, and that can not always work out the best for everyone. And what you're seeing here is parts of the new flower shop. And this is the front of the building. Let me turn this around. And it says flower shop there. Our village is currently all in white, so that's what I'm continuing with. There's also a color option, which is just beautiful. And this year, there's also a Halloween version, which I'm very excited about. So these are parts and pieces, and it's an entire hoop. So let's talk about what goes into this. Well, we have I always in the hoop aqua mesh. So this is the fibrous wash away stabilizer. Love it. And in the world of OESD, aqua mesh wash away, indicated by the blue. This is just recent history packaging. You might have that at home. Then I've hooped in here a second layer. This is Badge Master, sorry, a little off camera there. So this bit here feels like it's about the weight of a bread bag. Badge Master, another OESD product. It's a heavy wash away clear stabilizer. This, just keep this in mind, to maintain its freshness, it needs to be kept in that bread bag, or I find a hefty Ziploc bag will fit the 12-inch roll, and you can put it in the bottom and then roll the bag, all the air out of it, and zip it closed. And then for these freestanding applique, the other stabilizer you could use, and this is what will be referenced in OESD's directions, is Fiberform. Now Fiberform, it's a little chunkier, a little crisper. Years before, we used to just use fabric and starch it. Then we started stabilizing the back of our fabric to give this a little more body, and then to starch the whole thing and to have it stand up nice. And that's worked for a very long time. But I had switched to felt. So I prefer a white wool felt to create my buildings, or the gingerbread village is out of brown felt, no fabric. And ours are stiff as can be, because Badge Master and Aquamesh are a starch-based product. So non-toxic, safe for the environment, and just washes away, leaves no residue unless you need it to, and you need it to create that stiffness in our structures. But switching to Fiberform, that has its own stiffness built right in, and for some people this will be a much easier product to use. So when in doubt, follow the instructions. I'm going to film today creating some lace, so join me at the hoop for a moment. I've started a roof piece, and I've got the basting stitch in there, and then I have the first basting stitch on the what would be or could be Fiberform, or in my case, in all honesty and transparency, we're still using felt, because I know the recipe for that off by heart. And traditionally, all of the village pieces in my store were made by my mom, and this is our solution to back in the day when we didn't have fabulous products like Fiberform, and we've got that going on. So we can head to the hoop, and I'll show you what's going on over there, okay? All right, so let me just expand that. I don't need quite that close. All right, so I have all those other pieces in the hoop, and I've started stitching, and because it does take a little bit longer for these pieces. I find these are good days to clean. Keep my sewing machine going and tidy my sewing room all at once. It's a great compromise. Or I actually have 2 embroidery machines, so I can happily sew and embroider. Okay, so this has been tacked down, and in the instructions it says to lay your Fiberform here and your fabric. I prefer to get the Fiberform stitched in, and then if I haven't pre-cut it with a digital cutter like a scan and cut or something, or printed the patterns and pre-cut the pieces, I cut in place most often. And then it's a little extra work, and some people wouldn't like it, but I just double back here, and what I'll do is I will lay in, trim the Fiberform or the felt or whatever we've got going, and then I go back a stitch, and then I re-tack the fabric piece. So yes, I've turned a single step into a double step, but it makes me happy. Whichever works for you is the right way. So I know that a lot of people might not be available at 10:30 in the morning when we do most of our lives. Monday, we're scheduled for a little earlier before the heat sets in, because I'm going to do a garden tour. The last garden tour I had told you we would do as soon as the garden changed, and I have to tell you, in the heat we just had, the garden has changed, and I don't expect the blooms that I've got right now to last all that long. So now I'm going to trim away the excess fabric. And we'll talk about a couple of the other things that I like to do. Sorry, my arm's in your way there. Now, different design companies have different parameters for things like this. Just know if this is your first time at an OESD project, trim very tightly to that stitch. All right, so here we go. This is a roof piece that I'm doing here, and there's going to be a nice, easy open fold spot stitched right in. So the very first here is the placement line. And I'm sorry everything's white on white on white in the screen. It does make things a little bit difficult to see, but I am actually working on the store sample, you know, kind of double dipping my time. So I laid this just over that box. You could tape it in place. It tends to sit pretty good. Keep your fingers out of the stitching area. And I always keep my hand ready to quickly turn things off. But those of us who embroider a lot, we do put our fingers in the hoop, but nowhere near the stitching line. If you do, that goes badly. So here we go. Almost basted. These are my instructions, of course, not OESD's. But now I've finished that stitch, I'm going to use my buttons on my machine to just move back one step. And I'm going to repeat this step because it makes me happier. Sometimes the layers of fabric and fiber form, it's too much for my old hands. My hands are, you know, they're showing my age. So always trim flat on the bed of the machine, or you can take this right out, right off the machine. You never take it out of the hoop, but there we go. Remember, I've made a single step, 2 steps. Typically, I'm here to make your lives easier, but in this time, I'm adding steps. Now, a lot of people would be, those of you who are pretty handy with your machine or software, will be tempted to fill a hoop like this with all of the designs and then color sort into steps. So every piece does step number 1, then every piece does step number 2, etc., etc. However, what happens in some of these really dense, lacy designs is some distortion starts to happen. And I based my badge master in to the hoop for 2 reasons. To keep it tacked down so it doesn't catch under the foot. That's always a fun day if you have that little accident. But I also can monitor the distortion. There's not a lot you can do about it. It's part of the process. As those heavy stitches get in and laid down, they can sometimes pull on the hooping. And I've seen all sorts of crazy solutions on the internet, which is not really the safest place for everyone to be, but there you have it. I now need to put snow on the roof. So this next little bit goes right on top here. And I picked the roof line that has snow. Now, I think I've got two choices in my arsenal. I can do the snow in pearly white, or I've got this silver sparkle. And you know what? I think I'm going with silver sparkle today. Because who doesn't need a little sparkle in their life? So I'm just going to lay my big chunk of fabric here. You can pre-cut these down. Once you know approximately what size you need, you can pre-cut, or you can go crazy like me and just lay in a couple meters of silver fabric. So the first line is placement line, so we know exactly where this piece of fabric needs to land. And then this one is the tack down. OESD does a double line for tack down, which I really appreciate, because when you're trimming as close as you should for OESD applique, I quite often nick into that first row of stitching. So just gonna work through this one roof piece for you. We won't certainly work all the way through the hoop. So this time I'm just trimming the silver fabric with my hoop scissors. I'm using my OESD double curve hoop scissors. And what they do, you see how you hold them and the blades are nice and flat? I am less likely to nick into that, and it helps me, if I'm close to the edge, get up and over the edge of the hoop here. And all appreciated, all well thought out pieces of equipment. You cannot really get in here and trim that with regular scissors. It's just not simple, because of course they're straight, and then you're trying to go in like this, and the likelihood of digging those points into your stabilizer or the fabric underneath, way too high for me. And we have a beautiful tool. Let's use the tool. So the other side of the roof here, getting the other silver sparkle snow. I'm pretty excited. We still carry the fabric that my mom started with so many years ago when we started embroidering and here at my sewing room. And sadly, when she passed, I found all of her pieces in there. So I've now taken on the mantle with her original pieces of fabric, but there are, most of the prints that we used are still available, which is outstanding. I do compliment my fabric vendors that have a good product and they keep it for us year after year. Oh, good morning, Ruth. I hope I don't bore you with my embroidery lesson this morning, but you know, all the time there's somebody new. I'm just going to pull the hoop off the arm, but I'm going to keep it flat on the table here. And I'm just going to come in and remove all that excess. Get that out of the way. And I love my big hoop. And if I didn't have enough room to, you know, turn this hoop, I would take it off of the bed of the machine to the table and trim there. But look, there we go. I know, sadly, white on white on white. Like, this is a Benartex fabric, kind of a pearl cream. And then the white with the silver frost on it but I can see some differentiation on the screen. So away we go. Now, this is going to take the longest. This is all about the lace. So it's going to start building here on the stabilizer. There's nothing there now except stabilizer. No fabric, just thread. So it's important that this be stable. And what I've learned over the years is the mesh, it crumples really easy. It's very strong. And then Badge Master is actually quite rigid, almost invisible there on the screen. It's quite rigid, but it's weak because when you perforate it, it's like paper. It will just break down. Now, let's go back to my original hooping. There's my silver fabric. I can make it sparkle in the lights. I guess you're all going to have to show up and have a look. Now, the other thing about show up and have a look, let me remind you of something. Whether you're truly interested or not, you might make a trip to the store next weekend. We're having a Kimberbell event. They're doing a watch party, and our Super Sandy, you know her, the girl with the big smile and the great costumes, is going to be our hostess. I'll be assisting Sandy that day. She's adorable. She's super excited to be managing this event for us. So you're welcome to register and join us. That one's from 9 to 1. But something super exciting. We're having the 990, the Bernina 990 delivered to us next week. It's the traveling prototype. Bernina Canada has so graciously allowed the stores to have a little show and tell before the machines start arriving in the fall. I know that we're more than 60% sold in the machines that are coming, the first shipments. Those first shipments will come with a BSR, the new integrated BISR, Bernina Integrated Stitch Regulator. Sorry, new terminology. And it will be here in store. Should be arriving late Friday, and we'll have it for a good portion of Saturday. So do come by and see it. See what all the hubbub has been about over the last few months. It's years in the making, this machine, and it's extraordinary. It's definitely worth your time to come have a little peek at it. And for those of you who've already committed, I appreciate you so much for your faith and trust in us. We have always done our best to service our customers. And I'm no different than you. I'm a sewer, I'm an embroiderer, I'm a quilter, I'm a bag maker. You know, all of those things, and good equipment just really does make a better product. So this is why I specifically speak to different things. There are sometimes options. There's more than one way to get there. And if there is, I'm happy to tell you about them. Now let's have a little look here. The pieces that I've got going on here. Some things that happen, I told you I run the basting stitch around. Sometimes that basting gets caught in the pieces because when I loaded them into the hoop to make both pieces fit here, I ran them to the far outside of the hoop. So this one has been caught in on two sides. That's fine. I based in the exact same color, and then I'll just trim it away at each end. Typically what I'll do is I'll take this entire piece here and I will drop it into a small basin of water in my laundry room sink and just let it sit there. And what happens is the stabilizer dissolves, sinks to the bottom like gelatin, and then, you know, I might do a whole day's worth of embroidery and just keep throwing the hoopings in the sink as I go. And then tomorrow I will stir the pot, get a good sludgy wet mixture going, make sure all my pieces are well soaked with the water and stabilizer mixture. Then I will put them out to dry. How do I do that? Well, I have a grid that you buy those. Oh, okay, don't have to buy them. I used to use old oven grate. I don't know what oven it came out of, but it was in the house, so I used it just to get some air below and above, and they dry a little faster. If I really need them in a hurry for, say, a store sample or a class, then I actually put a little fan running over them, and that helps them dry even quicker. If they curl at all while you dry them, I put them down face first into an OESD press cloth, and then I will just give them a quick steam press, let them cool, and they will be nice and flat and easy to put back together. I have another video on putting these together. It was a teapot. You might want to reference that if you're going to give this a try. Here's the little buttonettes, and here's the little buttonholes, little loop and little pearl button. Then we have new Bernina punch, and often I'll bring these all prepped and ready to be put together, and the girls will do another Facebook Live putting them together because they're excited to get them going. Sometimes the arthritis in my fingers is not my friend, and it's making it difficult. But as we just plow away, let's check in. There we go. So that's just, I love embroidery, honestly, because it just powers away over there. And then really I can hang out in my room. I can use my other machine. Yeah, Chris is on their cookie sheet. Yeah, the cooling racks work. And if you don't have any of that, I used to just dry them on a big garbage bag. I'd walk by intermittently and flip them so that they dried flat. But these days, and drying flat, this way it helped, and it also exposed the damp side to the air. And that works out fabulously too, because the pieces sit in a bit of a puddle of the stabilizer, and so each piece then absorbs more, where sometimes on the rack, if you've left them a bit wet, they drip, and so you lose some of your stabilizer at the bottom. But these days I leave them pretty gooey when I use the drying rack. So yeah, thanks, Chris. I don't believe in using sewing stuff for cooking, so I tend to pull these pieces off, and they're no longer available for cooking. But I don't really cook much anymore. It's just me and Michael. And, you know, back in the day when my son lived at home and we had kids in and out of the door, there was a lot more cooking, a lot more baking happening. These days, most of that stuff's just sitting in the bottom of the drawers, right? So isn't that fabulous? It's just forming all that lace. I love it. And I find embroidery pretty relaxing. I don't know about anyone else. Like, let me know if you're a lace maker, if you like to make the freestanding structures. We have a ton of them in the store if you've not really taken note of them and you own an embroidery machine, or you saw them and went, oh, that's probably too difficult for me, because they are quite impressive. And that, impressiveness tends to have people think that it's too difficult for them when they're new. But in our new owners class, which comes with every machine that we sell, new or used, Bernina or Brother, we have new owners classes for the sewing part and the embroidery part. And that's really important when you're buying new equipment. And a lot of our programs are in person and virtual. Not everything, but a good portion of them. So if you don't like to drive in the winter, that's pretty darn handy. Even if you live in Calgary, the north side of Calgary to the south side of Calgary can be a challenge some days. It's almost easier to get here from outside the city. Yeah, I'm not sure how much longer on that piece, but let me talk to you about something else that's going on, because I do love machine work, but I also love handwork. Yeah. And some of you might have seen the announcements about Wonderful. I've been challenged to create these hand blocks by machine. Now, I seem to have buried my piece. Let me see if it's there. Oh, nope. Well, I'm fine. Be that way. I will show you this piece. Not impressive in the least, but it's a nice sneak. This here is my test sample. So sometimes I need stabilizer under there, and sometimes I'm working on a single layer or a double layer. Whichever ones that is, I will be testing. So it's important that you test. Remember, if you've been in any of my new owners classes, what do I always say? I always say there's two kinds of stitchers out there. Those who test and those who wish they had. So we do lots of things around the store by machine, but we also do lots of things by hand. We have a nice assortment of kits and products. So these ones you can see, if I show you the back, they're machine stitched. But I'll give you a little sneak there. So they're all basted by machine. And Bernadette Kent, some of you might remember from a beautiful store that we used to have here in town in Calgary called Traditional Pastimes. It was a lovely store. I enjoyed many a trip there, and certainly helped Bernadette put her kids through school. Well, Bernadette is now an instructor, and she works with Wonderful, and she has graciously agreed to co-teach with me the block of months. So we're filming all those, so and they'll be free to you. Good job, Christine. Sorry, old eyes. The screen's a little far away. I have to do the old lady look. Anyway, we're doing these beautiful things by machine and by hand, and I'm pretty stoked about how it's turning out. I'm just going to dig a little deeper for you. Oh, there we go. There's another one done by hand here. Okay, I'll show you a little close-up. There's the hand-sewn version. Here's my in progress machine version. I'll be working on the wing later today, top of the head. Then I have to decide what I'm going to do for these two little wrap circles. They're lovely. Let's see if we can get it there. Now, see this? This is a running stitch here in the branch. And this is my version of the machine running stitch. I'm quite pleased with it. And I'm going to bury these tails in the back. And I'm going to run them through with a needle or a thread puller. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think the best block of the month would be a combination where it's lovely and efficient to put the stitches in by machine. And then there are some things that I just enjoy, like the chest here on the hummingbird is French knots. I don't know why, but I love making French knots by hand. I could go for days making them. I just enjoy that process. So a combination would be probably the prettiest and the best option for most people. But, you know, some people would be all in if this is all by hand. Some people are all in if it's by machine. And I would suggest a hybrid. So do watch out for those programs being launched. As soon as I'm finished my little canary here, put both of them out front for you to come in and have a peek, compare them, see which way you might like to go making your block month. And I have to tell you a little secret. This works lovely in the sewing machine with the right needle. That's the gorgeous wonderful wool. And this pack is picked for these. All of these match the wool that's being used. But I fell in love with these pearl cottons. And typically they say, they say that you can't put these in the needle. I have to tell you that I am using them in the needle. So stay tuned for the tips and tricks of this. I just fell in love with the variegated versions, and that's what I'm up to. And I'm pretty excited about sharing that with you. And like machine variations, I can't wait till I get to the hummingbird here. Show you how to make a big fringe on the machine. It might not be as lovely and long as this one, but the machine has some limitations, right? The limitation for some people doing hand work, of course, is their hands aren't working properly anymore, or they don't enjoy hand work. But I enjoy hand work. I just don't have that much time. That's my limitation. So I'm hoping to see plenty of you there. I'm hoping to see plenty of you at our Kimberville event next weekend, or late Friday, Saturday. Definitely come have a look at that brand new Bernina 990. It's gorgeous. I've heard a little tidbit that says, those of you who love your brothers, like I love this Luminaire, the Avenir is the name of the new brother machine, and it will be launching all the full details and machines in sometime in August, around the 19th, 20th. We might see one. But a little birdie told me there would be some specs and info sheets dropped on that. So if you happen to be a brother person, more details soon. So keep an eye on our Facebook page or our Instagram page. We're posting everything we know as we know it. And yeah, once they tell me, I can't keep that a secret. I want you to know. I want you to have all the information. So can you see? Let's take a quick look in the embroidery there. few drifts are forming in the snow. We've got some roof tile there. I'm super excited. I love the OESD new launches, everyone. Oh, Christine likes to make the tiling scenes. I haven't really made too many of those over my years, but there's a new one. If you're a fan of hummingbirds, like this one is adorable. But if you're a fan of hummingbirds, there's a beautiful OESD tiling scene that just launched. We appreciate if you use our affiliate links to purchase your OESD products, and or come on in store. We've got designs on demand. You can have any OESD product at your fingertips, and we are having a Christmas in July promo right now with our OESD CDs. Whether the CD is $49, $59, $69, $79, $89, $99, its original price, they are all on special, in stock only, for $20. So that's a heck of a deal. You'll be getting designs for 80% off, 70% off, 60% off, 50% off, sometimes even better. So drop in, see if we have what you need for Christmas. Those of you who've been around embroidery for a while, and those of you who have not, OESD is going ahead with their holiday promo. So September, October, November, OESD has a limited edition free design that you get for free with the purchase. And it's always been $79 worth of product. So, you know, a roll or two of stabilizer will get you there, or a refill on your embroidery thread, anything that's OESD product. And they now have so many new pieces. So new scissors, tools, all sorts of things. Anyway, they're doing their program again this year, but last year they dropped the price to $59, and for the last few years, just to give you guys a little toe up here in Canada, because we always seem to pay more for everything, we've been matching that. So you were paying at par. So you could buy $59 worth of Canadian priced product and get your design for free. And we're going to carry that on this year. So September, October, November is when they release. And stay tuned for some more of my Facebook Live, YouTube Live events. I am going to be working through the new products, and as soon as I'm prepped and ready, I will show you what the designs are in September. They are cards, and I will show you how to create cards, and I will also give you an option or two what to do with the designs if you're not a card maker. Maybe you don't make and sell cards, or make and send. Some people do make and sell, so there's some cute ones. And I have to tell you, the theme is quite retro in a very nice way. And a lot of people that I've shown it to, 30-year-olds, 70-year-olds, we all adore it. It's so lovely. So I'll be sharing that with you shortly, how to make cards again. And with that being the first launch in September, you'll have plenty of time to make cards and actually get them in the mail and have them arrive properly before Christmas in someone's home. It's hard to think with our super heat wave here in town to even think about Christmas, but in some ways, this is my Christmas village piece, and thinking about Christmas, I feel somewhat cooler. Someone said to me the other day, "Don't talk about snow." And I'm like, well, if I think about snow right now, it kind of helps with the heat. Well, let's see. Ooh, we're nearly there. We're nearly there. So, well, I think that I might let that continue to stitch. Let me check. Yep, it's nearly done. Still a little ways to go. But let's just say it's a Friday. I'm sure we have better things to do. I wish I could go weeding, actually. It's too hot to be in the garden. And it's so nice to hear that I get to water my garden tomorrow. The restrictions have lifted here in Calgary. We're at a level 2, which means some stuff we can't do, but some stuff we can do. So I'll be very happy when this is all gone, said and done. But always been a water conserver, so it wasn't too difficult for me, and it wasn't painful, and definitely my civic duty to make sure that everybody has what they need. And but some of my more tender perennials are starting to wilt, so hand bombing water didn't just seem like an option, and we had just the right amount of rain at the right time. Well, okay, so you have your mission. Drop by the store next Friday or Saturday. That's the 26th and 27th of July. Come see my new house. It's actually a flower shop, but a village piece. And come in and see the new Brina. If you are not watching this live and have yet to say, hey, hello, how are you doing? Please drop us a little note. Say, let me know, do you embroider by machine or not? Do you think you're going to join us for the block a month? We have a lot of people who are already super excited about it, and I'd love for you to join us on that, because I think it's, if you'd like to work by hand or machine, you could base them all by machine and then put a little package together and head to the cabin or the lake or the beach, or camping with your kids, sit by the fire, do a little bit of stitching. It's a great combi project. I am not advocating for machine or by hand because I love both. I just want to take you along with me for the joyride, because sewing brings me joy. I think it brings a lot of you joy. And when it doesn't bring you joy, definitely reach out, see if we can solve your dilemma. Well, I don't think you guys are going to see the end of this piece, but I'll see you Monday in the garden, and maybe once I get into the shop here, I might give you a sneak peek update for Monday. Anyway, have a fabulous weekend. I do appreciate you joining us, and remember, drop a note, say hello. Do give us a like on our YouTube channel. All of that makes us more excited about doing more videos. Do subscribe. That way you'll always be notified when something new loads. And we try to load every day. And the girls are working so hard. The whole team, including the gentleman that I have here. I have such a fabulous team. They are super stoked to bring you new ideas, new projects, and share with you their passion. So do share with us your passion. Post some photos in our Facebook comments if you're a Facebook person. Remember, we have a page and a group. You're welcome in both. And always, you're welcome here. And those of you who don't live near, I'm sorry. You could move. I don't think I'm going to open a second store, but thanks for asking. Take care. Have a good weekend.